techniques, sacred tools and techniques to help you cope. Thank you, first of all, to lovely Nicole Schnackenberg, who connected me to HealthFlix, and sincere gratitude to Heather, Michelle, and the entire Netflix team for organizing these free webinars. I'm particularly honored to be included in this wellbeing webinar lineup, as I'm a spiritual author, and being invited confirms that a spiritual perspective is as vital to our holistic well-being as health in body and mind. Indeed, in my opinion, the spiritual perspective, which is finding deeper meaning behind all this pain, crisis, and uncertainty, is what will pull us through. So I'll spend the first few minutes of this webinar discussing the spiritual perspective and then offer you some sacred rituals. Please bear in mind that what I'm going to say is opinion. It's not fact, but it is an opinion based on my decades of research and writing about spirituality. Most of my books, my readers will know, deal with bereavement and loss and finding meaning after the death of a loved one. There may well be people here attending this webinar who have lost loved ones and know that excruciating pain, or not being able to say goodbye to loved ones, which is happening right now in this crisis. My heart really goes out to you all. But whether or not you've lost a loved one, we are all experiencing a bereavement of sorts right now, because bereavement is simply loss. It's grieving and it's loss. We've all lost our old way of life right now, and we're all going through the 5 stages of grief right now: anger, denial, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Now, these stages don't always follow a necessary order, but it's the journey of grief we all at some point in our lives will go through. And we're all kind of going into the acceptance stage now, because we're all beginning to slowly realize that until there's a vaccine or proper testing, we're going to have to say goodbye to life as it was and accept this strange, surreal new world of social distancing and quarantine for quite some time. I believe, however, and say in all my books, that there is another stage of grief following acceptance, and that is finding deeper meaning. And finding that deeper meaning is spiritual growth and awakening. In other words, the entire planet right now is being offered an opportunity to awaken spiritually and find deeper meaning. So what is this deeper meaning? Why is this happening? I realized many years ago in my research and writing that we aren't probably going to know the answer to the big why questions in life, especially the why do bad things happen to good people one. I always say over and over again, and I never tire of saying it, this life is like the underside of a tapestry, all confusing knots and loose ends. But in spirit, the top side is the beautiful picture, which somehow does make perfect sense. But I also realize that there is huge power in constantly asking this why do bad things happen question. We should never, ever stop asking. Imagine a world where we knew why bad things happened. We wouldn't bother to be compassionate and kind, would we? Asking why encourages us to be more compassionate and loving. And every time we do that, we do evolve spiritually. And I believe the meaning of our lives is to evolve in spirit and learn and grow. I think right now is a massive opportunity for the human race to awaken spiritually and evolve. You may or may not agree, but I think this awakening was much overdue. In recent years, the balance of the world has tilted so heavily towards the material. I often felt such despair, or that I was wasting my time writing spiritual book after spiritual book, doing talks about spirit, and constantly talking about them has to be more to this life than meets the eye. Because increasingly it seemed that being selfish and externally focused was the only way forward, and that truth didn't matter anymore, just spin. Injustice, excess and cruelty, narcissism and lack of empathy seemed to be everywhere. We were mistreating not just ourselves, but others, animals and the planet itself. I really sensed there had to be some kind of huge shift to tilt the world towards the spiritual. In recent years, it felt like a boiling kettle to me. And that's what is happening right now. The kettle is nearly boiling. Think about it. The virus began with animals and spread from China, where so many of our material goods come from, and it thrives in urban centers where money talks and pollution levels are high. It is now forcing us into a monastic, mindful existence in our homes. And if we do venture out, we have to think mindfully of others and the impact of all our actions. Again, this is opinion and not fact, but from my spiritual perspective, our intolerable cruelty towards animals, our obsession with status and wealth, looks over personality, the rise of narcissism, the death of empathy, and our abuse of this beautiful planet were increasingly dangerous threats to our soul. Spiritually, from my perspective, it was high time for the balance to shift. I read the other day that pollution levels have fallen dramatically since the shutdowns. I also noticed in a world that kindness is finally trending online and health workers on the front lines are being applauded instead of celebrities and reality TV. People are buying pets to keep them company at home. News feeds on our social media are suddenly more authentic and personal and meaningful. And because the influencers can't go to their scenic spots or have their endless beauty treatments so they look camera perfect, we are escaping those endless and mindless selfies. Hopefully now we will fill our news feeds and our lives and follow people who are true role models of a life of integrity and purpose because of who they are and what they do, and not because of how they look. A little anecdote. I was in the supermarket yesterday trying to find some eggs. I asked the lady at the till, and while I was asking, I didn't realize at the time, a young boy went to the back of the shops, found the eggs for me, and then just put them on the till beside me with social distance without being asked. Something like that wouldn't have happened in pre-virus days. And the shop lady said that while she hated the pain and anxiety of current times, for the first time in years, she felt motivated about her job because people noticed her, talked to her, and thanked her. Pause for thought. Is the virus making us all a little kinder? None of us is perfect, and we've all been guilty of focusing way too much on the material, looks over substance, and a what's in it me approach to life. What's in it for me approach to life. But spirituality is understanding that fulfillment can't be found outside ourselves in status, wealth, popularity, money, relationships, and external things. It has to come from within. And this pandemic is giving us all no choice but to consider this inward focused approach to life. To survive it, we have to go within and consider what really matters and what we are doing with our one precious life. It's a giant spiritual wake-up call. And the fact that you are all here shows me that you are all ready and willing to answer the call of spirit. I couldn't be happier because I believe this is your moment. I believe that because I believe that the reason you've signed in and the reason you're following HealthFlix is because you are naturally compassionate, kind, and gentle people. You've probably prioritized decency and love in your lives and struggled to cope in the past with the injustice, cruelty, and unkindness. You probably aren't the kind of person who elbows your way through life or puts your needs above others. In short, you're probably not ruthless and narcissistic. Being sensitive souls, you may also be very comfortable with peace and solitude, perhaps even needing it as a refuge from the overwhelming world. So in many ways, you are uniquely qualified right now to comfort, teach, lead, and light up the way for others who may be struggling to adjust to this loss of external stimuli. I've spent time in convent retreats, considering my options, and I'm also a serial spiritual author who craves time alone and peace to write my books. And it's been quite amusing to find that my preferred lifestyle is actually called quarantine. But joking aside, if you are someone who needs regular periods alone to recharge because you're sensitive, and if you've ever thought your empathy and other sensitive personality traits are a weakness, or that you just don't fit into a world of extroverts, now is the time to recognize your sensitive traits for the strengths they are. Now is the time for your kindness, compassion, and your intuition to help heal and reconnect the world again. I'm calling all mystics to turn the tide and make this a spiritual rebirth for the world. Call it a compassion pandemic. Remember, even if it doesn't feel like it now, this is going to pass. This crisis will pass just as the world wars, 9/11, Ebola, SARS, bird flu, and other natural and man-made disasters passed. It's going to take a while, And the world may feel like it's ending, but one day we will return to our lives. But the important thing I want to focus on is, how are we going to return? Will we return with post-traumatic stress, or with post-traumatic spiritual strength from all this inward growth we're doing now? Will we return with an attitude of gratitude for everything we took for granted previously in our lives? Will we treasure our friends and loved ones? Will we value acts of ordinary, everyday kindness? Will we emerge seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary, or, as I often say in my books, heaven in a grain of sand? Will we retain that spiritual awareness that all our actions impact others and continue to think mindfully of the well-being of others? Will we focus on connection? The virus really doesn't care about religion, culture, or political persuasion. It really doesn't care. Will we focus on connection rather than difference at last? Will we all emerge knowing that empathy and not selfishness is our superpower? And last but by no means least, will the key workers, the drivers, the shopkeepers, the doctors, the cleaners, the nurses and carers, and the emergency service personnel retain their current and long overdue, well-earned hero status? And will we finally stop worshipping overpaid false idols such as celebrities and reality TV stars or influencers? Isn't it wonderful that right now nobody is interested in hearing what the celebrities have to say? If we do emerge with post-traumatic strength and a sense of what truly is of value in our lives, we will be awakening spiritually. And I'm going to tell you, having studied and researched and lived this, it's the most exciting journey of our lives. It's the journey of self-wisdom, self-awareness, and spiritual growth. I'm so excited for that positive potential for everyone, and I pray that we all will. I think in time, all of us will look back on this period as a massive turning point. It will be life pre-virus and life post-virus. All of us can learn, change, and evolve from this experience. And the definition of spiritual life, as I always say, is change, evolution. Many of us think that spirituality is about chasing constant bliss, but it isn't at all. The spiritual approach to life is learning, getting out of your comfort zone, because the place you learn most about yourself is when you are out of your comfort zone and struggling. All of us are struggling right now to adjust, so we all have an unprecedented opportunity to evolve. So please try to remember, if you feel your life is in chaos, as long as you're learning and overcoming and dealing with it on a day-by-day basis, you are living your meaning and your purpose. In the weeks and months ahead, you're going to learn so much about yourself and others. How are you going to cope? How will they? You are going to discover who you really are, what your spirit is made of. You will find out what the people in your life are made of too. And as I said earlier, if you've ever suffered a bereavement, you will have been here before, because bereavement also throws everything up in the air and makes you question what the meaning of your life is and what really matters, just as the virus is doing right now. And if you think you can't cope, you can. It is incredible what the human spirit can deal with. I often find myself recommending a life-changing book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. This man survived a Nazi concentration camp. He saw loved ones die around him, but he still found meaning and strength because he understood that his captors could take everything from him, but they couldn't take his spirit. Read that book and read the heroic stories that you're seeing on your newsfeed now from the key workers. And they will all give you a much needed sense of perspective and remind you you are far stronger in spirit than you will ever know. I really pray we seize this moment and make this a spiritual reset for ourselves and the planet. And every thought, feeling, and act of courage, love, and kindness that you now perform is a part of that reset. Remember, this is a moment for sensitive souls to finally shine and recognize the strength of their personality traits. Now is the time for compassionate people to light the way, and as they did in the past when they were like the shamans and the healers of their tribes. Trouble is, in this modern world, people who have shamanic tendencies are not valued. It's time now for compassionate souls and empathetic souls to be the spiritual change that they have always wanted to see in the world and to lead the way. This is a period of global reflection as never before. I hope we all emerge with greater self-wisdom and awareness of what truly matters, and less emphasis on the material and much more emphasis on kindness, heart, and spirit. And if you want to know more about sensitive personality traits and how vital they are to your survival for the human race, I'm going to talk about one of my books called The Sensitivity Code that comes out in May. And the reason I'm talking about it is because it's digital only and priced so very low at $2.99. Last year when I signed, people said digital wasn't proper publishing, but I'm so glad I trusted my gut, my intuition, and signed with them, because hard copies of books now are so tough to get to find. And the reason I signed is because I felt it was the future. I just didn't know this future would come around so quickly. But I followed my gut. I had that quiet certainty that I was doing the right thing. I write a lot about intuition and that quiet certainty. And think about your life, those moments of quiet certainty when you have felt called to say or do something positive, even if others disagree. That is your intuition speaking. And strong intuition is a trait of sensitive, compassionate, empathetic people. So please listen to your gut. Also listen to your dreams and the voice of your heart. They know far more than your mind or your thoughts do. I'm guessing all of you are hearing what I'm saying and understanding the spiritual power and potential of this moment for your life, the life of your loved ones, and for everyone. And if you feel you're not ready to light up and lead the way, I'm telling you, feeling not ready is a sign that you are. Now, I mentioned that following your intuition leads to positive and life-changing actions. So let's go to the practical part of this webinar now. What actions can you do now to empower yourself, others, and help the planet, given we're all quarantined at home unless you're a key worker? You can connect to your inner wisdom, your intuition, your spirit through the sacred power of ritual. The rituals, the daily routines that you do now and make part of your life will help you not just survive, but thrive. So I'm now going to share with you 9 rituals. They're all from my ritual books, and they're simple and powerful. As you do each one, concentrate on the moment, the right now, and remind yourself why you are doing them. Because doing them with this conscious awareness, this intention, for want of a better word, transforms them from a habit to a ritual. You see, habits are things we do every day without thinking. Habits just don't have the power to change your life, whereas rituals do, because if you do them with intention, not only is your body involved with the action, the intention involves your mind, the emotion you put into it involves your heart, and then of course it's holistic, it's spirit. It becomes a sacred act. The majority of the rituals I'm going to now stress are actions, things I would like you to do. And I feel there's been a lot of emphasis in New Age circles and recent ideas on positive thinking and dreaming, meditating, etc., and not enough on positive doing. Research clearly shows that our actions can impact our minds just as much as our minds impact our actions. And if you ritualize these actions, do them reflectively and with a sense of deeper meaning, they really can boost your mood, health, and immunity, and change your life for the better, and create a ripple effect that boosts the well-being of others. And if you're not convinced about actions boosting your mood, you do it every day when you go for a brisk walk or a run. That's somehow always the action of running, the movement boosts your mood. So just be aware that what you do every day has just as much impact on your spiritual growth as your thoughts and your feelings. Now, what's the first ritual? Every morning, please, can you commit to making your bed? There's so much emphasis in the military on a perfectly made bed. It's a symbol of self-discipline, and it sets a positive, organized, and calming tone for the rest of your day. So tomorrow morning, Think of making your bed not as a chore or something you do mindlessly or something you just leave or don't bother to do because of the quarantine. Ritualize your bed making. Understand the importance of why you're doing it. And as you calmly and lovingly make your bed, understand why this matters so much for your self-esteem and for the success of your day ahead. Being tidy and organized does affect your mood. That's the reason why one of the most popular documentaries on Netflix is one about tidying up. And making your bed is one of those ways to tidy up and set a calming tone right at the start of the day. What you do in those precious early moments of your day really do set the entire tone. Now, the next ritual I'm going to talk about is something I'd like you to say out loud. Call it a mantra or an affirmation, but I'd like you to say it out loud, because saying out loud it ritualize it rather than thinking it. Say out loud as often as you can, preferably in the morning, which sets the tone. I am enough and I have enough. Be great if you could say that immediately when you wake up, because when you wake up, your brain waves are still in a very receptive state, a receptive state for new information to make an impact on the neural pathways in your brain, to new information to seep in. It's very receptive then. So say it first thing in the morning, and maybe also last thing at night. That's another powerful moment for you to reprogram your brain. The reason I'm asking you to focus on being enough is that most of us lose our connection to spirituality because our egos look outside for that sense of completeness in our relationships, other people, in money, in popularity, and in status. I said that in the beginning. And now that many of us are temporarily separated from all that external stimulation, the time really has never been better for us to understand that the only person who can ever complete you or make you feel whole is yourself. Now is also the time to ditch insecurity about not having what you need to survive, all this panic buying we're reading about. And the reason we're panic buying is because it's human nature to look for certainty. And that's why we're all rushing out for loo rolls and products like that, because we feel somehow that gathering all this gives us a sense of control over our lives and our dignity. But if the pandemic teaches us anything, it is that we have absolutely no control over these unseen forces. I often find myself thinking of that poem of Mice and Men, you know, like these mice building their nest and they had no idea a tractor was coming. The tractor's like the pandemic. We don't have control over unseen forces, but what we do have control over is how we react, how we choose to behave. We can choose to believe there is enough to go around, and we all know there is, if we all work together and consider others. We can choose to protect ourselves and others by following social distancing and not panic buying. We can choose to think of others, and we can find calm and connect with our spirit by choosing to control what we can do and letting go of what we've got no control of. The next ritual is one that I'd like to stretch all day long, and it's simply self-care. Prioritize it now. Contrary to what you may believe, self-care is the foundation stone of spiritual growth. I always say it's the first step. You simply can't help others unless you come from a position of strength and help yourself first. In planes, you know, they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. And I've noticed time and time again that many loving, kind, and sensitive people walk out like they're walking around without oxygen. It's a common misconception that the spiritual path is an entirely selfless one. It is, but that comes way, way later on your journey. To repeat myself, if you are not taking care of yourself first, you can't take care of others. You just can't offer someone a drink from an empty cup. So use this time to take extra special care of yourself. Treat yourself as your best friend. Parent yourself and practice self-care. Make it your sacred daily ritual. And self-care is really simple. I know there are books and courses about it, but really it's just complicating something that's so simple. Eat healthily, don't eat junk food. Have a regular sleep schedule, preferably going to bed before midnight, because studies show that's optimum. It's also listening to your feelings or the voice of your intuition, challenging negative thinking, and setting aside time just to do what you love to do. Time and time again in recent years, I've heard people saying, I don't have enough me time. I've written articles for magazines about me time, but now we have that time. The time is there for you. Prioritize it, use it. The next ritual is daily exercise. Exercise boosts mood and immunity. We all need our immunity strong right now. So make daily exercise a sacred ritual. If you can go outside, breathe in the fresh air, do. And get that extra shot of vitamin D as well whilst you're out there, because vitamin D, actually, studies have shown it's known to boost lung function. If you come back in after your exercise outside, do take your trainers or shoes off though, because research is showing that the virus can survive on shoes. If you can't go outside, exercise indoors, maybe by an open window. Fidget. I've always been a fidget, and I was always told off at school, stop it, but actually fidgeting, studies have shown, is very, very good for you. Get an app that can help you exercise, like Fitbit or something like that. Put some music on and dance to your favorite tracks. I love Mamma Mia or Dancing Queen by ABBA or Hey Ya, Outcast, or watch an addictive TV or a movie like Grease or High School Musical and just get up and dance to the numbers. Don't worry, nobody's looking. Just move and hopefully laugh as you do, because laughter is another great immunity booster. Mindfulness is another transformative ritual. Mindfulness, again, is something that's unnecessarily been complicated and made to seem like a science, but it's simply focusing all your thoughts on right now. Right now, I'm being mindful because I'm focusing every attention on what I say to you and hoping that what I say is helping. You may want to add in some daily meditation to that mindfulness as well. Again, meditation is not complicated. Just sit somewhere quietly and comfortably, close your eyes, focus on your breathing, and notice, but don't identify with your thoughts. If you want to know more, get a really simple app like Headspace to help you. The next ritual is gratitude. Studies show time and time again that gratitude for what you have, rather than mourning what you have lost, boosts well-being. This is a terrible situation right now, no denying it, but there is a silver lining. Choose to see the silver lining. I bet you've had conversations with loved ones that you've never had before. I know that my children are home right now, and it feels like a second chance for me to be there for them again. And I actually wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my son and my daughter's boyfriend, who are organizing the technology, because I'm technologically like a Neanderthal. There is a silver lining. I've also mentioned the time, all that free time you now have. Don't we want more time? Be grateful for that. Now is the time to call a friend, write to a friend, email them, message them, text them. Now is time to read that book you've always wanted to, or write that book you've always wanted to, or paint that picture. Master something you've always wanted to. You could learn a new language by an app or study something. Learning is good for spiritual people. The definition of a spiritual life actually is curiosity, the hunger, the open-mindedness to learn something new. Learn an instrument, tend to your garden or pot plant, tidy up. Tidying up is so therapeutic. Read lots and lots of spiritual books. Of course, I'll recommend mine. They have changed lives, and you can find out about me at www.theresachung.com. I could also, if you email me, I'll give my email at the end, I can recommend some fantastic life-changing books that might help you in this time. I think they're all available on ebook. I'm most well known as an afterlife and angel author and dream author. And now we're talking about dreams. Make dream recall a ritual. Dreams truly are a wonderful self-help tool. And I was contacted yesterday by Cosmopolitan, actually, because people are reporting more vivid dreams right now than ever before. They're called lockdown dreams. And the reason is our sleeping schedules are interrupted. So we're getting more REM sleep than we have before. We're also slowing down in the morning. And this gives us an opportunity to focus our minds on the images in the night rather than the busyness of our day, where we forget about our dreams. REM sleep, I should have mentioned, is rapid eye movement sleep, and it's where most dreaming happens, and we're getting more of that, of course. Most of us are so busy, we forget our dreams on waking. So learn the symbolic language of your dreams. Start your own dream dictionary. Dreams are, in my opinion, an internal therapist. There's so much wisdom there. And occasionally some of them can be quite precognitive as well. I've written about intuitive precognitive dreams. Please savor this pause. I've seen people I love look more relaxed and calm than they have done for years because they have been forced off this treadmill we were all on. To return to the theme of gratitude, choose to see the good, the positive here, as so many of us are forced to live this contemplative monastic life. And don't forget to be good too, if you can, and it's safe, good to others. Observe social distance. Find creative ways to help others. For example, find out online if you can drop groceries outside someone else's door or call people who are living alone. Remember too that simply not going out and panic buying is helping because it could be saving lives. And never underestimate the power of prayer. Tentative research shows that people who are prayed for recover faster. So pray for those people suffering right now. Applaud the healthcare workers at the appropriate time. That collective energy does make a difference. And never underestimate the power of a simple thank you. Remember that shopkeeper I spoke of earlier? If you know any key or healthcare workers, thank them. Send them a message or find an angel picture. I often post lots on my Insta and my Facebook author page. Send that picture to someone and say, I'm sending an angel to watch over you. It's remarkable how comforted people feel by that, even if they're not spiritual. You have no idea. Last but by no means least, make smiling more of a daily self-care ritual. If you don't feel like smiling, fake it. Because research has shown that faking your smile, smiling with your teeth, actually tricks your mind to believing you are actually happy. So fake it until you make it. It will boost your mood and the mood of others. I'm so grateful you've joined me. Sorry for rushing at the end. There's just so much I want to say and so much I wish I could say. And if you'd like to receive a free video course about the life-changing power of rituals that normally retails at £60, just send me an email at angeltalk710@aol.com. One of my publishers has very kindly offered it free of charge for anyone who downloads it before April the 30th. You have to download it before April 30th because after that it will go back to the £60. But please bear in mind if you do download it and work through it, because it's a very lengthy course all about the power of ritual to change your life, that it was filmed before the virus from another time and another place. But I do hope some of the advice there is profound enough and will also help you right now. I'm sending loads of love and gratitude to you all, and thank you, HealthFlix. Please do check out all the other inspiring talks on the HealthFlix YouTube channel. It's an amazing resource. And all those videos from the ones I've watched are deeply authentic and from the heart. So, I hope, just please take care of yourself, stay well, and remember your spiritual strength is your superpower right now. And if there are any questions, let me know.
We have one question.
Thank you, Matt.
It's what spiritual books would you recommend other than yours?
Other than mine? Oh, that's mean. No. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, is my ultimate one. I also recommend The Four Agreements, wonderful book. Don Miguel, I can't pronounce the second name. The Celestine Prophecy. It's a bit dated, but it's a wonderful, exciting journey. I recommend The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. There's a lot of amazing life wisdom now. The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and a whole range. I can think of many, many more. If you tell me what your specific interest is, if you email me at angeltalk710@aol.com, I make a point of answering everyone who emails me, and I can give a more thoughtful response to that, tailored to what you really want. I love to do that because the greatest thing about being a spiritual writer is the feedback, and it's a wonderful way to connect with readers.